What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today it's going to be all about sound in Infinite Warfare. We're going to be looking at footstep sounds, boosting sounds, different sound settings that you can use, and how Dead Silence and Tracker interact with each other. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so first up, let's have a look at what the different presets sound like in the game. If you want to get to these different mixes, all you have to do is go to the audio options and then go down to where the mixes are. There's default, there's headphones, and there's small speakers. So what I'm going to do is play 3 clips. It's going to be first off default, second is going to be with headphones, and third and final one is going to be with small speakers. I want you guys to listen for yourselves, so crank up your audio a little bit if you can. If you have headphones, put them on, and just see if you can tell a difference between these different presets. So, I've listened to those clips several times, and I could barely tell any difference between the different mixes. It's not like with Treyarch games where you have like Super Crunch, for instance, which is completely different from the default mix, and you can definitely tell a difference in those games. Not in Infinite Warfare, at least for me. You guys might have been able to tell a difference. I couldn't tell any noticeable difference between the 3 clips. So now I want to look at the interaction between Dead Silence and Tracker. We don't have an awareness or amplify type perk in this game that makes footstep sounds louder than they normally would be, but Tracker is designed to counter Dead Silence. So as I play these clips, pay really close attention to first up the distance that you can first start hearing the enemy, and second, pay attention to how loud the sounds are, as well as what it sounds like on different surfaces. And this is specifically why I chose Frost. Yes, there's ambient noise, but there is on almost every map there's going to be that ambient noise to deal with, so this is more of a realistic sort of scenario. And also we have multiple surfaces, so we're going from snow to a metal grate that's snow covered, and then back onto snow again. So you can tell the difference between those footstep sounds. So first up, we'll just play a clip where neither of us have any perks. We've already seen this clip before, but this is just our baseline. So most of you probably started hearing those footsteps right around here. And as you can tell, the footsteps actually get quite loud. I actually think in that most recent patch, they also buffed footstep sounds, and they just didn't say anything about it. But you can clearly hear for yourself that there definitely are footstep sounds in this game. So the next clip that I want to look at is when the enemy has Dead Silence and I don't have Tracker on. Let's have a listen. Even with my good headset on, I couldn't hear a single footstep sound that entire time. If an enemy hears your footstep without Tracker when you have Dead Silence on, then they must be some sort of superhuman. It's just not going to happen. So Dead Silence without Tracker is pretty much completely silent. Now let's have a listen to what it sounds like when my enemy has Dead Silence, but I'm running Tracker, which is the counter to Dead Silence. So for me at least, I could definitely hear footstep sounds. I think it's pretty clear that you can hear the footstep sounds, but it seems like the range is a little bit shorter and it's a little bit quieter than when neither of us had any of these perks on. Let's play those 2 clips back to back. The first clip I'm going to play is the clip where neither of us have any perks on, and then the second clip is where my enemy has Dead Silence and I have Tracker. So it seems to me that Tracker doesn't completely nullify the effects of Dead Silence, but it does seem to make it so that you can still hear their footsteps. It's just not going to be as loud as if neither of you had the perks on. Now, as we're testing, one interesting thing that we found out, and I have been hearing reports of this as well, is when you're running dead silence, you can't hear your own footsteps. It's completely silent for you. But when you use dead silence and combine it with tracker, you can suddenly hear your own footsteps quite loud. So it seems like when you combine dead silence and tracker, then they kind of counter each other out and you don't get the effects of dead silence. Here's a clip showing this off. The first clip is me with just dead silence, and the second clip is me with dead silence as well as tracker. So as you can see, there's definitely something going on here. You don't get the effects of dead silence for yourself when you're using dead silence and tracker. Now, we don't know if this is a bug or if it was an intentional design decision for balancing purposes. We'll have to find out in the future. This might get changed in the future, and if it does, I will be sure to keep you updated. But as it is right now, you can very clearly hear your own footsteps if you combine dead silence and tracker. Now, this had me a little bit worried though. What about enemies? What can they hear when you combine these two perks? Since I can hear my own footsteps, can they hear my footsteps? So this next clip is us testing that. My enemy is using both dead silence as well as tracker, and I'm not using tracker myself. So thankfully, as you can tell, dead silence is still working for that enemy. Even though the enemy can hear their own footsteps really loud, you still can't hear their footsteps if they're running the combination of dead silence and tracker. And I think this is a really good thing. If you have dead silence on, the only way the enemies are going to hear you is if they have tracker on their class. Even if you can hear your own footsteps by combining dead silence and tracker, you're still going to be silent from dead silence. Now, the final thing we wanted to test here is the boost sounds, because dead silence also mutes your boost sound. So the first clip is our control, where the enemy does not use dead silence. As you can see, at that somewhat longer range, you couldn't hear any boost at all. Once you got to the mid-range, you could hear the boost, and then finally, right up close, that boost was very, very loud. Now in this next clip, not only does my enemy have dead silence on, I also have tracker on, so I can counter his footsteps here, and if tracker fully counters dead silence, I should be able to hear her boost sounds as well. As you can see, I can still hear the footstep sounds, but the boost sounds are still completely muted for me if the enemy is using dead silence, and as far as I can tell right now, there is no counter to that. If you're using dead silence, nobody will hear you boost. But just to be extra thorough here, you'll notice in that clip where I had both dead silence and tracker equipped, I could not only hear my footsteps, I could also hear my boost sounds. I was still making boost sounds. So I thought I'd test that here as well. This last clip, my enemy has both dead silence and tracker equipped, and let's have a listen. As you can see, once again, it seems no matter what, if you have dead silence equipped, no enemies will be able to hear your boost sounds at all. So even if you have dead silence and tracker, you can hear your own footsteps, you can hear your own boosting, the enemies won't hear the boosts, and they'll only hear your footsteps if they have tracker equipped. So there we have it. That's going to wrap it up for today's video. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think of the lack of an awareness or amplify type perk in this game, where you can make bass footstep sounds louder than they normally are? For me personally, I like the change. I like the fact that there's still somewhat of a counter to dead silence, but it's not to the extreme where you make everybody else's footsteps much, much louder and you can hear them all the way across the map, for instance. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.